Hello guys, you are my explorers of the ancient world. You have been studying ancient civilizations, particularly the ones that live around river valleys. You've looked at Egypt. You've explored Mesopotamia. You've read about China and thought deeply about India. You're not quite experts, but you know where the experts are. You have been hired by the World Archaeology Museum to design a model of an ancient river valley civilization. This is your summative. Create a model of a civilization we have studied: Mesopotamia, India, China, or Egypt. You need to research it and make sure that you represent all 7 characteristics that are basic to a civilization. In our last summative, we presented one of these civilizations within the categories of pegs. You showed me something political, economic, geographic, and social about the civilization that you chose. This time we're going into a little more detail. We are going to explore the 7 characteristics of a civilization.
A civilization needs a stable food supply. Where did they get their food? All civilizations have social structures. What was the social structure? Who had more power? Who had less power? Who were the people that put this all together? A civilization needs a government. How was this society ruled? Was there a leader in charge? Were there laws? Were there judges? What about religion? Did they worship gods? How did they worship gods? What did their temples look like? Art. How did they express themselves with art? Technology. What did their tools look like? What way did they engineer things for water or buildings? Many civilizations have writing. How did they write things down? What did their language look like? These are the questions I will need you to answer. What you are creating is a model for the museum to give visitors an education on this early river civilization that you have chosen. Your summative is divided into 3 parts. The first part is research. You're looking up the information. The second part is the model building. You're creating a model of this civilization. And the third part is reflection, reflecting on how it went, what went well, and what could go better in the future. Start the project by deciding which civilization you're going to focus on. Pick one that you haven't done before, and you're looking for something between the time period of 5000 BCE and 500 CE. Then start looking for reliable sources that will help you answer the questions I mentioned before. Your model is meant to be a fun way for the museum to educate visitors. Include pictures, maps, labels, but also include audio and video and animations embedded for at least 2 categories of those basic characteristics of civilization. Make it clear how this civilization lived. Here are some ideas for what you might put in your project. For the stable food supply, you could include a farm, you could include agriculture, tools, livestock. For the social structure, you can include examples of different types of people. You can have rulers, you can have slaves, you can have kings, you can have merchants and metal workers, potters. For the government, you can include a building, some place for them to conduct government business. You can show a picture of a ruler, you could have a list of laws. For religion, you can have an example of one of the gods that they worshipped. You could have a picture of a temple. You could have something that represents the way that they worshipped or one of their many beliefs. For art, you can include pictures of paintings, of jewelry, of architecture, of sound and music that would be associated with this type of civilization. For technology, you can include examples of inventions that they used. Did they have a plow? Did they have a wheel? Did they have a certain way of making bricks? Did they have a chariot? Did they use arches in their architecture? Were there columns? What did they have that represented their civilization best? For writing, include a writing sample. These civilizations have their own languages, but they also have their own way of saying words, of writing words, their own styles of language. Make sure you include an example of what that looked like. I know you're eager to start right now, but before you go any further, set up an action plan. Follow that action plan. An action plan is important anytime you're tackling a large project. You've got a lot of work to do over several days. Learning to manage your time is an important skill. Look at this list of 5 steps that need to be done for this project. Think about each step, about how long you think it will take you to do. Then you write down what date you expect you will be able to complete it. For example, step 1 is to read the directions and choose a civilization. I don't think that will take me very long, so I'm going to write down today's date. Step 2 is doing research. I need to read through notes and look at other sources. This is going to take a lot longer because I'm researching 7 different characteristics of civilization. Hopefully it doesn't take me 7 days. This project is due next week. If I research at least 3 things a day, I can get it done in a little more than 2 days. I'll write a date 3 days from now. Steps 3 and 4 also look like they're going to take a bit of time. I'll write a date that allows 2 days each to work on those. Step 5 is citing sources, and I know that's going to take a day by itself.
Boy, this seems like a lot of work, but as you go, you're going to figure out that each step makes the next step easier. You will have class time to work on this all week, but if you find yourself falling behind, that's when you know you're going to need to spend some time working on it at home. As you complete each section of the action plan, you write down the date that you actually completed it. I'm not grading you on whether you got it done before or after your plan. I'm grading you on whether you had a plan that you were trying to follow. Time management is a skill I want you to develop. Okay, let's go back through the steps of your plan. Step 1, you read the directions and you chose the civilization you were going to study. Step 2, research the characteristics of each characteristic of civilization for your civilization. Step 3, write down answers for all of the planning questions. Buckle your seatbelt. This is where it starts to get busy. Here's where you're going to do a lot of writing. Each question will give you an idea of about how many sentences are expected. 2 sentences, 3 sentences, 4 sentences. These are the things that I'm expecting from you. Altogether, you're looking at about 25 sentences for just this part of the project. Step 4 is to build your civilization model. We're not doing a shoebox model. This is going to be digital. You're working in a slideshow and you have 7 characteristics of civilization to represent. Now you have a title slide and 7 characteristics. That's 7 plus 1. That's about 8 slides that I'm expecting from you. But maybe you combine a couple of those on one slide and you're representing writing alongside the legal code of the government. Maybe you put 2 or 3 of them on the same slide. Okay, so maybe you have fewer slides. Or maybe you take a couple of slides to make it a little bit longer and expanding on agriculture on more than one slide. It's really up to you. As long as you're covering all of the characteristics of the civilization, you could have it on 3 slides or 10 slides. I draw the line no more than 30 slides though. Step 5 is to cite your sources. Where did you get your information? I want to know. You have to have at least 2 sources, but my bet is you're going to need more than 2 sources to get all of the information that you need. Tell me where you got your information. Complete the citation document to explain where you got your information, what those sources were, and what information you got from them. Then complete reflection questions telling me about how the project went. What was easy? What was hard? What would you do differently next time? What advice would you give to students in the future? That's going to be about 10 sentences. And then finally, once you finish everything or think you finished everything, you go back through and check. Make sure that you've actually finished everything. Make sure that you finished the things that were expected of you. Go back to step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Make sure that you got what was necessary to be put in there. It's not uncommon for students, because they're working on more than one section at the same time, they skip over something and they think they finished it, but actually it's not all there. Double checking your work is an important skill in project effectiveness. I know this is a big project, guys. I know you can do it. Take your time, do your best, and I can't wait to see what you come up with.